Hey yogis, I'm Nicole. Welcome back to My Yoga Time. Today's yoga class is going to be a little unique because we're using the wall for a lot of the practice as well as our 2 blocks. So if you're familiar with my channel or you come to my classes regularly, you'll know how much I love to use the wall in our practice, both for restorative and also dynamic as well. Now, because the wall doesn't yield, it doesn't move, it helps us to maintain our integrity in our practice. So habitually, our bodies always look for the easy way out, and the wall will make sure that we're switching on our muscles where we need to and help to prompt that muscle memory. So I do ask that you place the short end of your mat up against the wall. I'm aware that mine's not, but I'll be using 2 different walls in this class just because of the camera angle. So short end of the mat up against the wall, and when you're ready, we'll begin with one of my favorite postures, legs up against the wall. So you'll sit with one hip next to the wall, and then as you bring your shoulders down, swing your legs up ever so gracefully. And then once in place, up to you whether you place 1 block on the flat side or 2 blocks stacked on top of one another underneath your tailbone. And then just allowing those legs to straighten and fall heavy against the wall. Arms can be by your side or above the head if the shoulders permit. Now, this is such a soothing pose for the legs, especially if it's at the end of the day and you've been standing. It's also one of my favorite postures to do first thing in the morning, as it gently lengthens the hamstrings, the back. So begin to place the tip of your tongue where the teeth meet the roof of the mouth. Keeping the jaw relaxed, though toning through the back of your throat. Begin to observe the 4 parts to your breath. The inhalation and pause. The exhalation and pause. So before we release this pose, we'll just bring a little movement in through the feet. Inhale to point, exhale to flex. Well done, and let's bend those knees now. Push the feet into the wall, lifting up your hips as you remove the blocks. When you touch down to the mat, we'll take just a few breaths in your butterfly pose. Soles of the feet to meet, knees falling out wide. Be sure to breathe down into your hips and thighs. From here, moving into reclined pigeon, you can straighten your right leg, place your left ankle on the front of the right leg, either above or below the knee. Option 1 is here, a little stronger if you bend that right leg as well, bringing the sole of the foot to the wall, but just don't let the bottom lift up off the mat. You might even like to arch the back a little here. Three breaths here, breathing into the outer hip, the lower belly, the lower back. And let's release the pose. Reach for one block now and place it in between your thighs. We're going to push those feet into the wall, lifting up your hips, coming up into a supported shoulder stand. So hands coming to the back for support, firming your arms down into the mat, squeezing the thighs in on the block. Inhale and exhale, lower down. Keep the block in between the thighs, keep those knees bent. We're going to twist over to the right side. So you want your right leg to rest on the floor. Soles of the feet are still on the wall. Arms out to the side. If you need to prop up this leg, use your second block underneath, or if you need to prop your shoulder. To complete the twist, lift the head, move the back of the head to the right, and then turn your head to the left. And remember, the quality of your practice is determined by the quality of your breath. Here we're going to practice Vishvavriti, uneven breath. So we'll inhale for 4, hold for 2, exhale for 6, and hold for 2. When you're ready, let's breathe out together. And inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, holding 1, 2, exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, holding 1, 2. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, holding 1, 2. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, holding 1, 2. And let's inhale those knees back to center. Remove the block and we'll take recline pigeon on the right side. Noticing if any tension has crept into the jaw. And when you're ready, releasing that pose, placing the block in between the thighs. And let's twist over to your left, adjusting the position of the head. As you inhale, feel the lower belly and the lower back expand. And as you exhale, gently drawing in towards your spine. And I'll count your next 2 breaths here, same as before. Let's inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding 1, 2. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Holding 1, 2. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding 1, 2. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Holding 1, 2. From here you can roll onto your left side, remove the block. And bring yourself all the way up, coming into your tabletop position. So here in your tabletop position, have those hands just a little bit wider than the shoulders, and we'll curl those toes under. Inhale into your back bend, and as you exhale, rounding out the spine. And already here, you may begin to notice you're a little freer in your back, your hips. Next time you exhale, lift up the hips. Make sure you do so with that rounded spine. Press into the pads of the fingers for your first downward facing dog. Holding here as you inhale, and then exhale, knees to the mat. Follow the in-breath into your back bend. Holding this downward facing dog. And then inhale, come forward into plank. From your plank, lower down onto those forearms, taking a forearm plank. So tailbone tucking under, upper back is rounding. Keeping the jaw relaxed. Keep breathing. And let's lower down, find your Sphinx pose. Feel here as though you're trying to draw those elbows back towards the ribs, lift the chin and move the throat forward. And let's lower down, bring those hands back underneath the shoulders, return to your plank pose, and then downward facing dog, hips up and back. So your heels here will be fairly close to the wall. If they're not, walk yourself back until you are. Any concerns with wrists and shoulders, just stay in your downward facing dog. Otherwise, option 2, you're going to raise your right leg. So lifting right leg up, feel free to take the ball of the foot to the wall or even the top of the foot. That will depend on how you feel through your ankle in particular. Keep pressing into the pads of the fingers and try and feel the heels of the palms squeeze in. You might choose to stay exactly as you are, otherwise point those toes to the side, look underneath your armpit. Come back to center, and we'll step that right foot through into a low lunge. Inhale the arms up. Inhale and exhale. High lunge, lift up that back knee, return to your downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg up. Take the ball of the foot or the top of the foot to the wall. You want to feel here as though those armpits are trying to wrap around and face one another. Broaden the shoulders. And if you did so on the other side, turn the toes out to the side, look under your armpit. And toes pointing down once again, step through into your lunge. Right knee down, float the arms up. Inhale. And exhale, hands down. Step your right foot up now next to the left. So option 1, ragdoll, collect those elbows, let the body hang. You can bend the knees a little. Option 2 for a little wrist therapy, stand on your hands. So you want your toes to meet the creases of your wrists. Try and pull your hands out from underneath your feet, and even a little wiggle of the toes there can feel quite nice on the wrists. And if you've got take the breath into the back side of the body. Well done, yogis. Release those hands. We're going to roll up to standing and bring your blocks with you if they're close by. Coming all the way up. So now we're going to practice our warrior one with the wall and your 2 blocks. So one block will go flat and you're going to stand with your right foot on that block, and your second block you're going to place in between the shin and the wall. So you can take the hands to the wall as you step your left leg back, 45-degree angle with that back foot. Now most people will feel better if the feet are a little wider, hip width apart. Otherwise you can find that heel to heel alignment, one straight line from right heel to left. If you have any concerns with your knee or your ankle, just pick up that back heel and make it a high lunge instead. So here you want to feel like you're stretching the mat with the feet, you're pressing them away from one another. Option to keep the fingertips on the wall. If you are going to lift the arms up, just take a moment to round the spine. So rounding out the upper back, and then lift up from the middle part of the back as you bring the arms up. Chin lift, move the throat forward, and try and turn those pinky fingers in a little. Hopefully you're experiencing a spacious warrior one. Find a softness in your strength. Well done. Lower those hands down to the wall, remove that block. Step your right foot back now, a couple of inches behind your first block. So you've got about 1 meter distance between your feet. We're coming into a variation of pyramid pose. So back foot still on that 45-degree angle. Here you want to stretch the mat with the feet. Try not to let the head hang, tuck in the chin and move the back of the neck up towards the ceiling. And from here we'll come all the way down. Feel free to take a hold of your blocks if you need, otherwise palms flat to the mat. Drishti can either be your big toe or your shin. And here feel as though those palms are pressing down into the mat and trying to slide forward. So you want to engage the armpits and the upper back as well. Well done, yogis. Let's reach for one block, come all the way back up. We'll practice our warrior one on the other side. So left foot up, position the block. So make sure you've got the angle of the blocks correct. Pressing those feet away from one another, rounding out the back, and then floating the arms up. So be careful not just to throw the head back. You're lifting the chin, moving the throat forward so there's space, both in the front and the back of the neck. Well done, yogis. Hands to the wall. Remove that block in between the shin and the wall. Step your left foot back. Find that meter distance. Folding forward. So here the sensation in your shoulders is very similar to your downward facing dog. You almost want to round the outer edges of your armpits down towards the floor. And let's come all the way down, either with or without your blocks. So from here, grab a hold of both of your blocks if you don't have them already. We're going to move into a wide-legged forward fold with the wall and the block. So you're going to take the outside edge of your left foot against the wall, take those feet as far apart as you can, turn the blocks to the flat side and reach those hands out in front as far as they will go. So hands are reaching forward, bottom is moving back, lifting the arches of the feet and the knees. And feel free to haar out the breath, letting go of any tension along the back side of the body. From here, walk those hands in a little and then walk the hands towards your right foot. We're going to come into our lizard pose. So both hands are on the inside of your right foot, lower left knee to the mat. And of course, if your hips are quite tight here, keep a hold of those blocks and have those hands on the block. So here for today, we're going to keep squeezing that right knee in towards the shoulder, pressing down through your big toe knuckle. Try and draw the hands back as you send the heart forward. Option 1 is as you are. Option 2, reach that right arm behind you, take a quad stretch, taking a hold of your left leg. And let's release. Take your right hand to the outside now of your right foot. You can heel toe that foot across. Step it back into your downward facing dog. And then bring your left leg forward, lizard pose. So left foot to the outside of the left hand, lower right knee down. If you did so on the other side, reaching back, taking a hold of your right foot. And let's release that right foot down. Heel toe left foot across, high lunge, step it back into your downward facing dog. Option 1, lower the knees into child's pose. Option 2, take a flow, come forward into your plank. Feel free to place those knees on the mat. Be sure to round out the upper back, body comes forward a little, and brushing those ribs with the elbows, either come all the way down and find your baby cobra, or roll over those toes, upward dog, legs off the mat. And then knees down, wide-legged child's pose. Arms out in front, feel free to bring the hands into prayer, above the head. Lowering those hands down now, coming all the way up into a seated position. So left leg out on a 45-degree angle. A couple of choices here with this pose. If you're going to stay with your legs like so, create a little bit of resistance between this foot and thigh. Press them into one another. And if your hip and knee need support, there's a block there for you. So if you're in this position, you're going to lean over to your left. If your left hand is close to the foot, palm is facing up on the inside, and then take a hold of the big toe knuckle. If you're back here and you can't reach the foot, that's totally fine as well. So looking down and finding a slight tuck of the tailbone. If this right shoulder's not happy, hand will come to the low back instead. Option 2 for your side bend, you can bring the sole of the right foot to the floor, so the right buttock will lift up off the mat. And you're going to hold onto your right ankle with your left hand and then lean over. Create a little bit of resistance with the elbow and the thigh. And if you can reach your left foot with your right hand, take a hold. Be careful not to overstrain. Do not overstretch. If you're at your edge, you've gone too far. Check in with your breath. It will tell you. And let's come all the way up. Place your right leg down now, shin parallel to the edge of the mat, crossing left leg in front. So stacking the feet and the knees, or option to place left foot on top of the right knee. Now you can, of course, if your hips are tight, elevate the hips by sitting on your block. The feet are flexed, we're pushing the feet down and sending them away from one another. Option 1, stay upright. Option 2, fold forward. Feel free to use the block underneath the head or maybe your hands. Option to stay in the center, or if you like a little more of a side bend, walk your hands over to your right side. Stay high on those fingertips, palms are lifted. Find a little lift in your left armpit. And either staying there or final variation, place your left elbow in the sole of your left foot. Take those hands to prayer. And let's release. Coming all the way back up. From crossing those legs, you might like to briefly take them from side to side. And when you're ready, changing right leg out. So same as before, creating resistance there, option to prop there. Or option 2, sole of the foot to the floor, knee points to the ceiling. Take a hold of that ankle with your right hand. Find that resistance between your elbow and the inner thigh and leaning over. Create space in the side waist with your breath, not by forcing the body into a particular position. And let's release. Come all the way up. So position your left shin parallel to the edge of your mat, right leg crossing in front, or stacking right foot on top. So remember to keep those feet flexed and keep sending them away from one another, either staying upright or folding forward. Either staying in the center or lifting the head, and walk the hands over to your left. Stay high on those fingertips. Or final variation, bring those hands into prayer. And let's release, coming up. Moving into one last forward fold, taking those legs nice and wide. So if you don't have that range of motion in your hips to come forward, you could always recline and take those legs up against the wall again and let the legs fall out wide. Or you could just choose to stay upright. Otherwise, feel free to fold forward, keeping toes and knees pointing to the ceiling. So this is not a yin pose. Keep the quads engaged, keep pulling up the kneecaps. So if it was a yin pose, we could be completely soft and relaxed and give into gravity. Here we're maintaining that little bit of tone around the joints. And let's inhale to lift up. Use your hands to help those knees come together. I like to have a little squeeze. And then we'll place the block in between your thighs, leaning back on a 45-degree angle. Coming into your boat pose. If this is too intense, you can practice 1 foot at a time. Keep squeezing in on the block. Draw the shoulders down. Keep the jaw relaxed. From here, heels down, toes up, lifting up through the arms. Try and drag your heels back towards your bottom. We're going to twist over to the right. So right hand behind you, left arm to the outside of the right leg. So keep squeezing in on the block and dragging those heels back. And enjoying this twist through the middle part of the spine. Inhaling, arms up, and exhale other side. And let's return to center. So winding our practice down now, we're going to come into our fish pose, supported fish pose of course. So 2 blocks here, both blocks parallel. This bottom one is lining up underneath the shoulder blades. When you're ready, come on down. If you find that you need to lighten this pose, take the block under the head higher. Otherwise, they're both on the same height. Or if you want to go deeper, remove the block under the head. If your back's catching your awareness, you can keep those knees bent. Otherwise, straighten and relax the legs. Be sure to take the arms out as high as they'll comfortably go. You might even like to connect index finger and thumb for chin mudra. And begin to breathe into the heart center. And when you're ready to release the pose, bend the knees, turn the palms down, either roll off the side, or if you need to, come halfway up, remove your blocks, and then recline once again. Take those feet as wide as the mat, let the knees fall into touch. And if you have the urge to take a hold of the knees and rock from side to side, feel free. So we'll finish with one last twist before Shavasana. Take a hold of your block. Block over to the left side, straightening the left leg, reaching for your right knee. So right knee is coming over to the block, and option 1 is exactly as you are. Option 2, move the left leg back, bend the knee, and collect the foot. So you want to keep the collarbones facing the ceiling. It's a little twist with a back bend. But if your back is catching in any way, let go of the foot, return to option 1. We'll stay here for 3 breaths. See if you can witness all 3 breaths. Releasing the foot on your 3rd exhalation, coming back to center, and let's change sides. Left knee resting on the block. Option to take a hold of your right foot. And deepening the breath in your lower body. In your next exhalation, release the foot, return to your back, and take a hold of both blocks for Shavasana. We'll place one block under each thigh, and then straightening the legs, allowing the legs to fall heavy. Tucking the shoulders under, palms to face the ceiling, softening the forehead, the tongue and jaw. And just be in your spacious body, quiet mind. Begin to inhale a little deeper. Swallowing if the mouth is dry. Wiggling toes and fingers. Following any urges to move or stretch. And then when you're ready, roll to your preferred side. Before bringing yourself up to seated. Well, thanks, yogis. I hope you enjoyed practicing with me today and using the wall. I welcome any requests that you may have for future classes on the wall. If you haven't done so already, please do subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to support free yoga on YouTube. Wishing you a lovely day.